North Carolina, the territory where a 12-year-old stumbled upon a 17-pound gold nugget in a stream, and his folks utilized it as a doorstop for 3 years. The initial gold rush in American history kicked off right here, decades before anyone ever caught wind of California. And that's the fascinating thing about North Carolina. The state has been quietly sitting on a gold mine in every sense of that phrase for 2 centuries. First powered flight, birthplace of Pepsi. The mountain peaks rise higher than any terrain east of the Mississippi, and yet, when folks discuss relocating south, they mention Florida, they mention Texas, they overlook North Carolina, they don't even think to check. But I did the digging, and I uncovered 8 deals that stopped me in my tracks. The first one is perched on a mountain with livestock facilities, fruit orchards, and scenery you couldn't purchase in most states at any price point. The final one is a brick residence featuring an arched entryway you'd swear belongs on an estate 10 times the price. From $289,000 all the way down to $45,000. If you're new around here, I'm Joe, a professional blogger, and every single week I select a different state and scour through active listings until I track down the ones that shouldn't exist at that valuation. Subscribe to my channel Nestviewx so you capture them before anyone else does. And whatever you do, stick around until the absolute last house, because at $45,000, that front entrance tells a completely different narrative than the price tag suggests. Let's kick off at the top of our list, right at the peak of a mountain. Nearly 12 acres of acreage that somebody invested years transforming into the kind of lifestyle most folks never get past dreaming about. Sheep grazing past the fencing, fruit trees arranged in neat rows, raised garden beds equipped with shade canopies, a stream flowing along the base of the land. And at the heart of it all, a residence with a sheltered porch and a row of blue rocking chairs looking out at scenery that stretches until the mountains fade away. 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, 1,492 square feet. Constructed in 1988. The family room opens up beneath a soaring cathedral wood ceiling with heavy beams running the entire length of the space. A stone-set wood stove sits on an elevated hearth at one end, with built-in wooden cabinetry along the walls. The kind of space where you kindle a fire on a chilly night and the rest of the world can wait. The kitchen features teal-toned cabinetry, granite countertops, and a window above the sink looking straight into the timber. The bedrooms are situated down the hallway, all 3 on the main level. The master suite features wood-paneled walls and a window framing the sloping hillside, carpeted ceiling fan overhead, and plenty of square footage so it doesn't feel cramped. The second and third bedrooms share that same vibe. Wood walls, plush carpet, peaceful. The bathrooms are straightforward and functional, nothing over the top, nothing broken. A brand new roof overhead with ductless heating and central AC already in place. But this house isn't the real attraction, the land is. Someone spent years converting these 12 acres into a self-sustaining paradise. Fruit trees, apple, pear, peach, plum, fig, pomegranate, grape and muscadine vines, and berry patches scattered everywhere. There are 11 raised beds with shade covers already engineered over them. Between the orchard and the garden plot, your grocery expenses start shrinking the very first season you settle in. And then there's the livestock setup. A goat shelter, sheep barn, hay storage barn, chicken coops, a powered workshop, and an all-purpose outbuilding. The paddocks are already cross-fenced for rotational grazing. You can spot the paths worn into the sod where the animals move between pastures, and every outbuilding features its own little yellow crossing sign. The person who established all of this appreciated every single minute of it. Will it demand labor from you? Every single day. The wood stove warms the main living area, the water is supplied by a private well, and the access road is gravel. But every fence line is already secure, every barn is already standing, and every tree is already mature. You're not launching a homestead from scratch. You're stepping into one where someone else already handled the brutal work. Now, before you make up your mind, let me tell you where this is located. A settlement of about 700 residents nestled in the foothills an hour south of Asheville. Close enough to commute when you need to, distant enough that the city never follows you home. Forest City is 10 minutes down the road for your groceries, hardware runs, and medical care. Every June, they close down Main Street there for the Cherry Bounce Festival, named after a historical moonshiner who distilled cherry whiskey on this very mountain 150 years ago. His recipe became so renowned, it ended up on riverboats all the way to New Orleans. The cherry trees are still producing up here, and if you want a weekend getaway, Chimney Rock State Park and Lake Lure are just up the highway. But the reality is, with 12 acres of your own, you won't need to wander off searching for things to do. So here's the breakdown of what your money buys. Nearly 12 acres on a mountain ridge, a home featuring a new roof and a wood stove, an established orchard already producing, outbuildings already standing, garden plots already constructed, and a veranda where the only thing separating you from the horizon is clean air. But the next option is the type of listing that forces you to review the price tag twice and then analyze the photos again because something absolutely doesn't add up. The moment you pull up to this property, you'll spot the roof. Red metal panels sitting atop white clapboard siding with a brick chimney climbing up the rear side. It resembles a vintage farmhouse from a century ago because it is. 1,702 square feet of living space on nearly 6 acres of land. Let's tour the interior. The dining room establishes the ambiance for the entire home. A dark timber china cabinet against the wall, a chandelier with glass globes suspended above the table, and a blue floral wallpaper trim accenting the ceiling line. French doors guide you from room to room, the way homes used to circulate before standard hallways took over. The living space features a brick fireplace with a white tile border and built-in cabinets on both sides, the type of room that claims its presence in the house effortlessly. The kitchen is old school in the absolute best way. White cabinets, an arched entryway connecting it to the breakfast nook, and ample space so you're not cooking with your elbows touching the walls. The appliances are vintage but fully operational. 4 bedrooms, all situated on the main level, each equipped with a ceiling fan, and each still retaining a bit of the character of whoever resided here last. They are ready for occupancy the day you close escrow. The solitary bathroom is the undeniable drawback here. It's dated, it's compact, and with 4 bedrooms in the layout, it's the first project a buyer would plan on expanding. Now, let's venture outside. Nearly 6 acres, partially cleared pasture, partially wooded timber, flat enough to utilize, and heavily treed for ultimate seclusion. There's a functional workshop on the property already. The zoning is agricultural, which means livestock, expansive gardens, and accessory structures are all permissible. No HOA regulations, no restrictive covenants dictating what you can or cannot build. Now, let me paint the picture of this location. A community so tiny it only exists because one gentleman, Isaac Godwin, approached the Railroad Corporation in 1878 and persuaded them to establish a depot right next to his residence. And it paid off. The station was built, residents arrived, and a town developed around it. The trains don't make stops here anymore, but the land values stayed affordable, the atmosphere stayed serene, and Fayetteville, with its medical centers, major grocery chains, and total infrastructure, is a brief 17 miles down the highway. Interstate 95 is just a mile from your doorstep, meaning you're linked to the entire Atlantic coast without living in the chaos of it. So here's what we have on the table. A 1920 farmhouse rich with a fireplace, French doors, a formal dining space, and a century of vintage charm you simply cannot replicate. Plus, 6 acres with agricultural zoning and zero oversight telling you how to manage it. And this is where the math gets fascinating because the next deal costs less, but what you inherit there doesn't feel like a step down whatsoever. This mountain retreat sits at an elevation of 3,000 feet. Dark timbers, timber frame gables, a bold red front door, and a sheltered deck gazing straight into the Blue Ridge Mountains. The forest wraps around it on all sides. And when the autumn leaves change color, this is the exact spot people drive hours to witness from a vehicle window. You'd be taking it in from your morning coffee chair. 3 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms, 2,491 square feet on nearly 3 acres of mountain ground. Built in 2009, and it arrives fully furnished, everything you see in the listing stays with the property. The great room strikes you immediately. A massive stone fireplace climbing floor to ceiling, a vaulted ceiling rising 2 stories above your head, and windows on every single wall drawing the wilderness inside. White couches, genuine hardwood flooring, and the distinct tranquility that only comes with high elevation. A wrought iron spiral staircase in the corner snakes up to a loft area, featuring a small table, a pair of chairs, and a sloped ceiling. The ultimate nook where a book turns into an entire afternoon. The kitchen layout unfolds right off the main living zone. Maple cabinets, dark granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, and a central island. Adjacent to it is a dining area with space for a full-size table. Off the main floor, there's a sunroom with wicker seating and French doors that open out onto the expansive deck. Morning coffee with absolutely nothing standing between you and the mountain ridge. The laundry setup is hidden behind wooden doors in the hallway. Everything on this level is open concept, integrated, and oriented toward the mountain views. The primary suite occupies the upper level. Vaulted ceiling, iron bed frame, carpeted flooring, and wood-trimmed windows framing pure forest. The master bath features a double vanity and a deep soaking tub positioned right beneath the window view. The lower level is a true walkout basement matching the natural slope, featuring full-sized windows and abundance of natural light. It's not a dark basement by any definition. There are 2 additional bedrooms down here, each paired with its own full bathroom. One is configured with twin beds, a bookshelf, and a desk facing the window, completely ready for children or weekend guests the moment you arrive. The other features massive windows sitting right at treetop level, so you wake up with the forest at eye height. There's even a practical kitchenette with a counter, sink, microwave, and compact fridge. It functions as a completely independent guest suite. When your family visits, they enjoy their own entire floor, private entrance, and total autonomy. Here's the transparent part. The foundation settled slightly about a year after the home was completed. The seller indicates it has been stable ever since. A mudslide impacted one side at a certain point. There is no visual evidence of interior damage, but the structural siding underneath hasn't been completely inspected by a professional. For the right investor, the one prepared to bring an engineer out to run the calculations, this could represent the most lucrative deal on this entire lineup. Now, let me tell you about the setting. A mountain village of about 450 residents, serene in the way only mountain communities can be. Spruce Pine is located 14 miles away for your hospital runs, grocery shopping, hardware stores, and all standard necessities. Further up the road is Roan Mountain, boasting the largest natural rhododendron gardens on the planet, and every June, the town hosts a massive festival celebrating them. And just 8 miles south sits the Penland School of Craft, one of the most acclaimed institutions in the nation, which has converted this entire valley into a thriving artisan community packed with galleries and private studios. You're not isolated in the wilderness. You're anchored in a destination people actively choose. So here's what you're acquiring. A timber frame mountain lodge at 3,000 feet, a stone fireplace, a guest quarters with its own secondary kitchen, and panoramic views from every single pane of glass. Yes, it warrants an engineer's assessment, but the structure is standing, the mountain vistas aren't going anywhere, and the asking price has a massive discount baked into it to cover whatever that assessment reveals. Now, if you thought that mountain home was already a stellar value, just wait until you see the next one. It operates on an entirely different playbook. A solid brick ranch nestled on a spacious corner lot within an established subdivision, a metal roof overhead, an attached garage, and mature shade trees anchoring the perimeter. Built in 1959, it's the exact type of real estate they constructed when structural integrity was the priority. 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, 2,120 square feet, sitting on a full 1-acre parcel. The front entry leads right into the formal living room, and the focal point is the far wall. Floor-to-ceiling red brick masonry with an arched fireplace integrated right into the center. It's not a cheap decorative insert, it's a massive brick accent wall, and it gives this living space a historic weight. Most homes at this price bracket completely lack. Massive windows on both sides, clean carpet underfoot, and enough square footage to arrange your furniture layout any way you see fit without feeling restricted. Through the transition doorway, you catch a view of the kitchen, and this is where the previous owners invested serious capital. White cabinetry wrapping the entire space, premium granite countertops, and a custom mosaic tile backsplash that spans behind the range and sink area. Stainless steel range, microwave, and dishwasher are all installed and ready. The floor plan forms an open L shape with ample counter real estate, so two cooks can operate simultaneously without crowding each other. This isn't a kitchen you need to budget to remodel. This is a space that's completely turnkey. The bedrooms are situated down the main hallway, all three on the primary level. The master bedroom features dual windows and enough floor space to easily accommodate a full king-size bedroom set. The second bedroom sits directly across the hall, mirroring the excellent natural light with a pair of windows looking out into the timber. The third bedroom is positioned at the far end, a bit more secluded, a bit quieter. Every single room is completely move-in ready. Now, let's talk about the bathrooms. Both have been fully gutted and professionally remodeled from scratch. Floor-to-ceiling slate gray tile work, glass-enclosed walk-in showers, dark wood vanities topped with marble counters, and contemporary plumbing fixtures. At $71 per square foot, these bathrooms have absolutely no business looking this premium. It's a 66-year-old brick rancher that someone cared for enough to fully modernize without sacrificing the solid durability that made it great initially. Venture outside onto a full-acre corner lot, featuring a front yard, backyard, and lateral yard space shaded by established timber. The attached garage features its own private driveway access, and overhead is a durable metal roof engineered to outlast the next couple of owners. Now, let's analyze the market location. With a local population approaching 20,000 residents, this is a fully functional town with complete infrastructure. Major grocery chains, a full-service hospital, and dining options are all right at your fingertips. You're positioned right off Interstate 95 and 74, meaning Fayetteville is a quick 30-minute commute north, and the Atlantic coast is roughly an hour east. The Lumber River cuts directly through the downtown district, the sole Blackwater River in North Carolina, holding a federal wild and scenic designation. Enthusiasts travel hours to kayak it, and your property would be a mere 15 minutes away. And for the movie buffs out there, David Lynch filmed his classic Blue Velvet right here in Lumberton. This is the exact property on our tour where you move your boxes in and change absolutely nothing. Every single major update has already been executed, and to top it off, the seller recently slashed the price by $20,000. At $71 a square foot, this is the type of real estate math that rarely presents itself twice. Quick break. If you're finding value in these deals, subscribe to Nestviewx right now. I hunt these states every week so you don't have to. You can also find the full list at nestviewx.com. But the next opportunity completely shifts the paradigm. Constructed before electrical grids were standard, it's hitting the market at a price that feels like a typographical error. 1888. This historic home was already an established landmark before your grandparents were even born. 2 stories of classic cream and blue clapboard siding, a grand wraparound veranda, and mature pecan trees rooted in the yard that have been growing since before anyone currently on this street was alive. You catch sight of it from the sidewalk and you just freeze. 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2,406 square feet. Let's explore the interior. The main door swings open, and the grand staircase completely dominates the foyer. Rich dark wood, intricate hand-carved balusters, and a banister crafted by hand over 130 years ago. It remains rock solid, incredibly beautiful, and the absolute first thing that commands your attention. You could strip this entire residence down to the bare studs and renovate everything around that historic staircase, and your investment would be fully justified. The main floor layout flows exactly the way Grand Victorian architecture was intended. A formal parlor leads into a formal dining hall, which flows naturally into a rear sitting room. The ceilings are soaring, original plaster medallions remain anchored overhead, and crystal chandeliers are still suspended in place. There are numerous fireplaces adorned with original mantels, some featuring vintage tile hearths, others framed in deep dark timber. The wainscoting extends waist-high through the corridors and formal reception rooms, showcasing dark wood craftsmanship that is simply non-existent in modern construction. Several of the windows even feature original stained glass integrated into the upper frames. Every bit of it is authentic, and it's all survived. Nobody stripped this home of its soul to fill it with cheap drywall. The structural bones endured. Now, for the realistic assessment, the The walls require fresh plasterwork in several zones. Portions of the ceilings need structural attention, and the kitchen space requires a comprehensive, down-to-the-studs rebuild. On the upper level, the bedrooms require subfloor work, drywall patching, paint, and complete finishing. One bathroom still retains an original clawfoot soaking tub, while the secondary bathroom requires a total overhaul. Every single square foot of this property demands sweat equity, but every single room also rewards you with historic character that no amount of modern money can duplicate. Step outside onto an expansive shaded corner parcel with mature pecan trees creating a canopy. A detached two-car garage sits positioned behind the main house. Municipal water, municipal sewer, and natural gas utilities are all actively connected to the property. Furthermore, that included secondary lots next door means you possess room to expand, land to cultivate, or an entirely separate parcel to liquidate if you want to recoup some of your initial capital before the restoration process even gets underway. So, what kind of community would you be joining? This isn't an isolated hamlet out in the wilderness. With 15,000 residents, you have a local hospital and all standard conveniences without embarking on a major road trip for basic groceries. Kerr Lake is situated just to the north, the largest man-made reservoir on the eastern half of the United States, and recreation enthusiasts travel from across the region to access its waters. Your doorstep would be a brief 20-minute drive away. And if you're familiar with the timeless anthem, Stand By Me, the legendary vocalist Benny King spent his childhood right here in Henderson. This property is not tailored for a buyer looking to simply slice open cardboard boxes and settle in. It is purpose-built for the visionary who recognizes a hand-carved master staircase beneath a compromised ceiling and immediately understands the profit potential. At $52 a square foot with an entire extra parcel thrown into the deal, the embedded value here is massive. Now, if that Victorian felt like an overwhelming undertaking, the next option brings us back down to a highly manageable reality. Solid masonry, straightforward lines, and a purchase price that breaks below the 5-figure threshold. For the first time on our property tour, we are crossing below the $100,000 mark. What a purchase price of $92,000 delivers you here is a 1947 brick bungalow engineered to endure, positioned on a corner lot in one of the most historic municipalities in the nation. The living room serves as your initial introduction to the interior, and the focal fireplace commands your attention immediately, showcasing a vintage tiled surround integrated into the wall, flanked by built-in custom bookshelves on both sides. The original hardwood floors extend from this threshold through the majority of the floor plan, beautifully aged in the distinct way only authentic timber can wear. A ceiling fan circulates overhead, excellent window openings pull in light, and the space offers ample square footage so it doesn't feel like it's trying to overcompensate. The kitchen is vintage. This is where the home reveals its chronological age. It features white metal cabinets, a standalone electric range, and a mosaic tile backsplash installed during a previous decade. The footprint is highly functional, arranged in an L shape with respectable counter space and a window positioned over the sink. But this entire room is essentially a blank canvas waiting for the next investor to dictate its aesthetic. Currently, the walls feature a sage green coat of paint, and the windows are accented with plantation shutters. It is entirely habitable as is. It's simply awaiting modernization. The 3 bedrooms are positioned along the rear corridor of the home. The primary bedroom stands as the most spacious, featuring original hardwoods, a ceiling fan, and dual windows. The second and third bedrooms mirror this identical layout. Clean drywall, great natural light, and solid timber underfoot. None of them boast massive dimensions, but none of them feel restrictive either. The single bathroom servicing the entire household features white tile walls accented by a contrasting black border, a standard tub, and a pedestal sink. This is the clear area for improvement. A 3-bedroom, 1-bath configuration means any savvy buyer will immediately look at adding a secondary bathroom, and given the corner lot configuration, you possess the physical footprint to expand the structure. Out back, a screened-in porch extends off the rear exit of the home, the exact type of space that transforms into your absolute favorite retreat during the summer months. A detached single-car garage sits situated behind the home, and the backyard perimeter is secured by chain-link fencing with an access gate. The lot footprint isn't massive, measuring just under a quarter acre, but its corner positioning gives it a much larger presence than the plat map indicates. So, where is this real estate situated? A city of 20,000 residents and one of the oldest settlements in the state. Originally designated as Kingston in honor of King George, the locals proudly dropped the G following the American Revolution and never looked back. The Neuse River snakes directly through the downtown historic district, and there's an authentic Civil War ironclad warship housed inside a local museum that salvagers recovered from that very riverbed in 1963. You have a local hospital, established grocery outlets, and complete municipal services. Acclaimed chef Vivian Howard established a flagship restaurant right here that achieved such renown, it birthed a PBS television series, and today patrons travel from all corners of the state just to secure a table in a town most of them had previously never mapped. Let's synthesize the data. A solid brick residence featuring a fireplace, original hardwoods, and a screened veranda in one of North Carolina's most historic riverfront towns, all packaged for a modest $92,000. But the next listing has been lingering on the active market at a price point that makes you pause, and what you acquire here might force you to completely rethink the entire national real estate market. $149 a year. Let that sink in. That is the actual annual property tax liability on this entire home. You will literally spend more capital on a nice dinner out this coming weekend than this entire house costs to maintain in taxes for a full 12 months. What we have here is a white colonial-style two-story residence featuring a green metal roof, contrasting green shutters, and red brick steps guiding you up to a sheltered front veranda. Constructed in 1900, it is hitting the market at a mere $69,000. 4 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms, and 1,500 square feet of interior space. The main entry opens directly into a traditional staircase foyer, showcasing a crisp white newel post, matching railings, and brand new luxury vinyl plank flooring running through the entire first floor footprint. A prior owner already handled the flooring updates, and that single factor completely alters the renovation math on everything else. The rooms on the primary level flow seamlessly from one transition to the next. A comfortable living room, a central dining space, and the kitchen area. The walls feature soft beige paneling, the windows are tall multi-pane units, and every single room bathes in excellent natural light. The kitchen is equipped with rustic-toned cabinets, a stainless steel refrigerator, and a double basin sink positioned beneath the window. It is straightforward, highly functional, and clean. You also benefit from a convenient half bath positioned on this level. Moving upstairs, you'll locate 4 bedrooms arranged systematically down the central corridor. They don't boast massive footprints, but they are practical, honest rooms equipped with windows, closet storage, and that exact same new flooring extending throughout. A full family bathroom services this upper level as well. One of the bedrooms showcases built-in cabinetry fronted by glass panels, the exact kind of subtle architectural touch that reminds you this home has stood for 125 years and was built in an era when fine details were paramount. As for the geographical setting, it's a quiet village of 485 residents positioned just minutes from the shores of the Albemarle Sound, a massive 50-mile expanse of open water that stretches all the way out to the Outer Banks. Fishing, kayaking, and coastal boating are right at your disposal as a daily lifestyle, not a planned weekend road trip. There's even an active waterfront resort situated right in town, along the Sound. Greenville is located roughly 45 minutes to the west for your primary medical centers, major warehouse grocery chains, and total commercial runs. But day to day, the pace is peaceful, it's slow moving, and the coastal water is close enough that you can catch the scent of it right from your front porch rocking chair. At a valuation of $69,000, you are capturing 4 bedrooms, brand new flooring throughout, a durable metal roof structure, and an annual tax bill that most Americans surpass on a single pair of footwear. This is precisely what affordable housing looks like before the broader market discovers the zip code. And the final property on our real estate tour completely abandons every standard rule you've observed up to this point. $45,000. And what lies behind that entry-level price point is going to transform the way you evaluate every single home that preceded it. I advise you at the introduction of this video to monitor the list all the way until the final home. And here it is. Feast your eyes on that front entryway. A full masonry brick archway, completely hand-laid and highly decorative, featuring a custom pattern in the brickwork that looks like it belongs on the entrance of a historic civic library or a county courthouse. A brick-paved walkway leads directly to the threshold. The entire facade of this home announces its presence like an estate that commands 10 times what the sellers are currently asking. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1,518 square feet of living space, constructed in 1910. It is a solid brick, single-story bungalow topped by an architectural shingle roof system. Let's step inside to evaluate the layout. The living area is open concept, featuring a ceiling fan, clean white walls, and original structural hardwood flooring resting underneath. The hardwoods are currently worn and require a standard sanding, staining, and refinishing process, but they are authentic old-growth timber, and they have been anchored here for well over a century. That isn't a liability, that is a hidden asset, just waiting to be restored. The floor plan flows logically from front to rear, with classic early 20th century wide doorways and central hall links. The kitchen setup is rudimentary, featuring white and tan cabinetry, a black standalone range, and a tile floor. It is functional. It isn't gorgeous, but at a bare minimum investment of $30 per square foot, you are not paying for a designer kitchen. You are purchasing the underlying structural bones, the land parcel, and that absolutely unparalleled front archway. The bedrooms are arranged down the main corridor, featuring blue-gray paint tones in one, ceiling fans, and windows fitted with privacy blinds. They aren't massive rooms, but they are genuine, practical bedrooms. The ceiling in one room exhibits some localized plaster damage, which is precisely the type of cosmetic issue you anticipate encountering in a property at this rock-bottom price bracket. And it costs a few $100s to patch, not thousands. The single bathroom is compact and dated, equipped with a standard toilet, tub setup, and a basic sink. It requires cosmetic updates, but everything is structurally intact and non-compromised. Central air conditioning and a forced air electric heating system are already fully installed, with municipal water and sewer utilities available at the property. Let me break down the city dynamics where this home is anchored. This stands as the largest municipality on our entire tour, boasting a local population of roughly 55,000 residents. The Amtrak passenger line makes daily stops right here, offering 3 trains heading north and 3 heading south every single day. You can literally board a train passenger car right here in Rocky Mount and arrive in the heart of Washington, D.C. or New York City without ever gripping a steering wheel or touching an interstate highway. The Tar River winds right through the center of the city, and the historic Rocky Mount Mills, the second oldest cotton mill ever constructed in North Carolina, has been meticulously repurposed into a vibrant urban campus packed with craft breweries, artisanal restaurants, luxury apartments, and corporate event venues. Historic inventor Thomas Edison actually selected this exact town to host one of his very first commercial power grids. This isn't a town that's struggling to find an identity. It's a city that already possesses a rich one. At a mere $30 per square foot, you are acquiring a 1910 solid brick residence complete with original hardwoods, central air conditioning, and a custom arched front facade that tells a completely different financial story than the actual price tag, all anchored in a city offering active Amtrak transit, a beautifully revitalized downtown mill district, and an interstate corridor connecting you to the entire eastern seaboard. This is the final property on our tour, and it might just be the one that occupies your thoughts the longest. And that concludes our tour of North Carolina. 8 distinct properties, ranging from a 12-acre mountain homestead to a solid brick bungalow featuring a hand-laid arched entryway for the equivalent price of a pre-owned vehicle. Every single one of them authentic, and every single one actively active on the market right now. If any of these unique opportunities caught your eye, all corresponding links are located in the description box below. Comprehensive photo galleries, complete listing data, and direct agent contact information for every property featured. If you want to discover what real estate values I track down next week in an entirely different state, Subscribe to Nestviewx and toggle the notification bell so you never miss a deal. And if you know someone who has been actively discussing a relocation south but hasn't officially pulled the trigger, forward this video to them immediately, because North Carolina has been quietly sitting on a gold mine for 200 years, and these 8 properties are the undeniable proof. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next real estate tour.